Hey everyone, Sully here, and today we are going to be looking at the next boss in Heroic Manaforge, which is the Soul Hunters, the optional or non-optional boss if you want to get cutting edge and all of those achievements. And they drop some really good loot for a number of specs, and obviously the boots as well. So this is a fairly standard council boss type fight where there are 3 bosses in the arena in front of you, and as per usual you need to kill them all at roughly the same time. So this video is going to be looking over what the main abilities are that everyone needs to be aware of, with a focus on tanking, but of course yet again this will apply to everyone, and I'll try to cover as much as possible. So to get things started then, you are going to want to decide on a couple of things. First of all, tanks, you need to work out which one you are going to start on. So as you can see, there are 3 bosses. You've got Bloodwrath here on the left, you've got Dark Sorrow on the right, and Duskblaze in the middle. Now, Duskblaze here in the middle cannot be tanked, and he will frequently jump across the arena, which is the most annoying thing in this fight in my view. So you cannot tank this middle one. One tank will need to pick up Bloodwrath, and the other one will need to pick up Dark Sorrow, and when you do, you want to stack the bosses on top of Duskblaze, and whenever they leap around the arena, you then need to position yourself so that your DPS can cleave the 3 of them down all together. Next, you want to decide on who you want to have doing the soak mechanic in the raid group. Now on Heroic there are 2 soaks that will spawn in just a second, you will see them. So ideally you can pick whoever you want. We did it with healers on our first poll. We started with the healers. However, the mechanic itself does actually give a damage increase. So if you want to min-max this, you can rotate DPS players throughout. Once you've got that, you're ready to pull the boss, and you can go into the fight. So as you can see on poll here, I'm picking up Dark Sorrow, the other tank's picking up the other one, and we move the bosses on top of each other as best as possible. So first things first then, here you can see 2 blue circles, small blue circles appearing. These are the soaks that the 2 people that you have assigned to do the dispel mechanic need to stand in. When they stand in it, they will get like a purple orb floating above their head, which means they have that. Now these do take damage over time and have a healing absorb applied to them, so they can't hold on to this forever. However, they can hold it for quite a while. I think at some points we had up to like 16 stacks, and they were fine throughout. So, first tank mechanic has just gone out. So each of these demon hunters have different abilities. So we'll talk about Dark Sorrow, which is the one that I'm tanking first. So as you can see here, I've got this, and she's casting Fracture on me. Now when she casts Fracture, you can see here 2 souls spawn. Now you need to have them be picked up by DPS or healers in the raid group, because otherwise when a later mechanic comes out, if they have not been collected, you will die. They also do hit pretty hard when they are collected, and the DPS need to be watched and healed, spot healed, or pop a defensive when they're picking them up, but it's really important that they are collected as soon as possible. Now what you'll notice as well, what I found helped, is when Fracture goes out, I have my back to the raid, and that is because these spawn behind you. So just to make it easier for people to collect, I turn my back to the raid group to spawn that. The other tank will have the other demon hunter, which does a different ability, which is an I-beam. That is a large frontal that does a pushback effect on the tank, and you need to make sure that that is faced out of the raid. So whenever you have the other demon hunter, you need to make sure that you are aiming that one outside of the raid group. So you can see I-beam is going off on me here. I've got it pointing out. I'm Tiger's Lusting. I've got defensives up. And that is it. That is essentially the 2 tank mechanics that you need to be aware of. After they have gone out, you then swap. So after Fracture's gone out, after I-beam's gone out, you then swap with your other tank, and you carry on the fight as normal. So, the two people that are doing the dispel mechanic have an important job, as you can see just here. So these blue purpley circles that spawn throughout the fight need to be soaked up and cleared, and that is done by the people that have the dispel mechanic on them. They go into the middle of it, they soak, the pools disappear, and this needs to be done throughout the fight to make sure that you have enough floor space throughout. Some other abilities, which you can just see here that are going out, is the hunt, essentially. So you can see this one here. So Bloodwrath casts it. It will leap to a part of the arena. It will cast the hunt, and these two green lines will go out and target another player within the raid group. That player needs to move away from the bosses and stretch out this line, the hunt, as much as possible. And then people need to go inside and soak the damage that comes up. Now on Heroic, when you go inside the hunt, you will each get a green circle put around you. So you need to spread, because this does splash damage throughout, which is why the person needs to move back to allow people space to go inside and to essentially make sure you've got space so you don't all kill each other while you're in there. Other than that, that is pretty much this phase. Yeah, you're tank swapping after Fracture and I-Beam. You're keeping things stacked on top of each other, and you are dodging the smaller green lines on the floor. And when the hunt comes out, you are making sure that enough people are inside it, and of course keeping the floor as clean as possible. Now, once the Demon Hunters maximize energy, then get to 100 energy, they will then go into the intermission. And there are 3 different intermissions. So Dust Blaze is first. It always goes the same order. They fly up into the air, and then orbs will spawn. Now, ideally, you don't really want to pick up more than 2 orbs, but you need to soak as many as possible and stop them from getting to the middle of the room. So what we were looking to do was to take 2, let the debuff drop off, and then start picking them up again. At which point, the bosses will then return to the arena, and it is just a pure rinse and repeat till the next intermission. Which we will try and find here. So the second intermission, again, this is the same each time round. The next Demon Hunter will fly up into the air, and then they will... It's essentially the Farak Blaze mechanic with a slight difference. So you can see it here. Bloodwrath leaps into the air and then casts her ultimate. These green lines come across. Again, you move out of them. If you get targeted, you might want to pop a defensive, and you run across your line so you don't move it as much. Fairly easy, fairly straightforward. And again, you just keep blasting the bosses as much as possible, at which point the 2 other bosses will come into the arena, and then you carry on the fight exactly the same as before, which then will take you to the 3rd ultimate, which is here, which is essentially Fell Devastation. So the boss will jump into the middle of the room. You'll then see a green circle, and everybody needs to get to it as fast as possible. It'll turn and face and will cast Fell Devastation. You just need to be to the side or behind the boss. It does this 3 times. You can see where it's going to land. Movement speed, Warlock Gates could be useful. But essentially, just get there as quick as you can and avoid the frontal that comes out. If you've done that and you've got the bosses low enough, that is essentially the fight. All 3 of them will then jump into the middle of the arena, and you need to kill the boss before it gets to the next intermission, because essentially what happens is all 3 Demon Hunters will do all of their ultimates at the same time, meaning you have to soak orbs, you have to dodge the green lines, and you have to dodge Fell Devastation all at the same time. There you go, good luck. It's quite an enjoyable council boss, I thought. It's one of the easier council bosses in my mind. It fell over quite quickly. I think it was like 2 or 3 pulls that this went down in. But yeah, other than that, have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.